All right, hey everybody. Welcome to the Eco 8.0 stream. So today we have me, I'm John Kay, designer of Eco, CEO of Strangeloop, and we have Walker, programmer extraordinaire, and Will, product manager on Eco, as well as like a million other things. So yeah, here we go. We're gonna show some of the new stuff in 8.0. We're streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. So feel free to ask us questions there, and we'll answer those. So first big news, we've announced the launch date for 8.0, and that is going to be February 6th, which is our 1-year anniversary to Eco. So that's kind of a cool time to release it. And it's going to have a ton of new stuff in it. So today we're going to show, first thing we'll show is the new banks. So if you want to fly over to one of these banks, we've dropped a couple in the scene here. So currently in the game, everyone has a default bank account. So if you're not super familiar with Eco, later in the game, currency becomes really important as you're trading with each other and deciding, what to build based on what the economy needs. And then it gets more complex where you have taxes that are taking money from people and putting it in towards different uses. So we're continuing to evolve that system, and we've added where you can have separate bank accounts. So eventually this will be taxes can go directly into a bank account. So this is what the bank object looks like. We've kind of repurposed the treasury, which we've changed to something else. And if you use that, you can see that you now have a list of the accounts you have access to. So go ahead and create an account. And then if you click on that account, you can see who are the managers and who are the users. So account managers can add new users and take out funds, and account users can take out funds but not change the users. And the nice thing about these in 8.0 is that you can have demographics in there as well. So if you go to account users, you could specify world leader. So this could be a bank account that only the world leader accesses. Or you could specify citizen, for example. So then this would be like a global bank account that any citizen can access. And a citizen is someone who's played it for 2 hours or more. And then the account managers, you can change that if say you wanted the world leader to be able to change it as well, you can kind of give them access to it.
But they're already a user.
Yeah, so you can move them to and fro. And one cool thing with this is you can actually create locked bank accounts that cannot be changed. So for example, say you wanted an account that only the world user could ever use and nobody else can ever change that. So if you remove the citizen from account users and then remove Octavio Rex, which is the current player, it'll give you a warning that you'll lose access immediately. But if you click yes to that, now that account still exists, but it's only accessible to the world leader. So you actually have the ability to just like permanently lock down stuff like this. An admin could still change it, but in general, that's the lockdown for good. So let's see, do we have any stores in the world?
Not yet.
Let's see about spawning an economy. Do our dev command. Hopefully this.
Okay, disconnect.
Uh-oh, we may have killed it off.
Alright, let's disconnect, reconnect to this world.
Yeah, see if it's still going. So yeah, we'll answer some questions while it's reloading. We did a dev command that managed to kill it. Dragon Supremacy asks, so with 8.0 you mentioned how world gen is customizable. Does that include stuff like determining what the terrain generator islands like if you're going for one island per biome? Yeah, there's a ton of new settings for that you can actually specify, like what % of the land is which biome, how big the islands are, how many islands there are. So there's not like a pretty user interface on that now, but advanced users can get in and like manipulate all those numbers and make whatever kind of world you want. That's something I'd like to have a nice front end on, so you can spend a lot of time like crafting the interesting world that you want to live in. Someone asked, does this replaces a treasury? No, it doesn't replace treasury. Treasury is actually going to be a different object now, but this one suited a bank more. So it looks like spawn economy isn't working. Maybe if you just drop a store down. So open that up. Oh, it doesn't have an owner.
Need to claim this.
Just do claim rect. Cool. So, oh, that's not your store though. So the way that you'll use bank accounts in stores is you'll actually select which bank account to spend from. So you'll have a few options. Let's go to the economy viewer actually. So here you have all the bank accounts you have access to. Why don't you add a few in the bank and they'll show up there. Just like add 2 or 3. Yeah. Cool. So we've added this new transfer dialog here. So you can see all the bank accounts you have and how much money is in each, how many transactions have happened in them. So you get this nice record of everything that's happened, even if you're offline, say, and you made a bunch of sales in your store. So go ahead and open that transfer dialog. So previously you could do this with chat command, but now you have this nice pretty interface where you can choose source and target. So this really help, specific features with the economy. So you can say transfer, choose a destination bank account, change that to something else, change it to one of, you want to transfer between your 2 accounts. You can put any currency, so each bank account can hold as much currency as you want. So there's a lot more flexibility in kind of dividing up where money is stored and who has access to what, which is a big theme of the game, that, thinking of these resources as kind of deciding where time is spent, where energy is spent, and how capital is distributed is a big part of that. So pretty interesting and fun addition, I think. It's been really cool in playtesting. Can you turn the music down a little bit?
Yeah, already did.
Cool. So let's take a look at the, actually go back to the store for a second. I think you have something new in there. Go to credit. Yeah, there we go. So now there's this new bank account drop down. So this determines where the money for your store comes from. So you can actually section off bank accounts and say, I only want this much money to be spent in this store. So it gives you a lot more flexibility in kind of choosing how that works. So let's check out the registrar.
Jean did ask if we could have 4 large biomes instead of many small biomes.
We have a bunch of different biomes in the game. I'm not sure the exact number right now, but you could, reduce those. Just set % to 0 for specific biomes if you wanted to. All right, so here's a registrar, and it's a pretty sweet looking object.
Do a full tour first.
Yeah, like the little globe we got in there. So the idea with this is it introduces the idea of titles into the game. So a title it's kind of like a permission system. So if you open it up and we make a new title, this is our title, so it picks all these random names for us. Click on that one. And now you can choose who is allowed to add and remove users to this title and who's actually on the title. So you can have, there's only one user on the server right now, Octavio Rex, so set yourself. And then you can change it to the appointers, add in the world leader, and remove yourself. So now you've created this title that you no longer have access to, but the world leader can change it. So now that's going to appear in all the permissions dialog. So if you go back to your bank, let's run back over to our bank and open one of those accounts you have access to, and you can change who accesses it. You can say, we should have czar in there somewhere. Try the managers. Okay, well, that's a bug, but we'll make it so that czar is in there. So basically that you can create these new divisions of authority, right? That the world leader decides who this, the Minister of Transportation, for example, has access to the Transportation Fund's bank account. And you can have taxes that go into there. So it's a lot more flexibility in assigning not just divisions of money, but who can access that money and how to do it. So we're really taking an approach where we just give a lot of tools to the player and let them, decide how that works.
And Jufries is asking, can any random player use this registrar to award titles?
Yep, any player who accesses the object can use it, so whoever builds it decides if it's public or not. So it can be something the whole server uses, it can be limited off, so it really depends on how it's used in the game. There's a lot of flexibility.
And Dr. Jones says he's one of the people who had to suffer under Mayor Jeff Grubb last year. Cool. Thanks for
Awesome.
joining us.
Yeah, Jeff Grubb was from VentureBeat and gave us Game of the Year, which is pretty awesome. He had this really cool experience with the finance of the game. So he's going to be, I hear he's putting together some new streamers that are going to do another stream once 8.0 starts. So not an official announcement, but that should be pretty cool to see.
So to clear up something on the titles,
You can just fly around.
from Jufress, he says, so it ends up with players giving themselves joke titles? Well, not exactly, because once you have titles defined, you'll be able to pass laws that can be applied to somebody with a specific title. So somebody with a certain title could be granted taxes or land rights or bank account. So they do have a use.
And you can also have multiple people on a title. I think he's referring to people like making trolling titles or just like spamming it with that, but that's something that you can lock down with the admin tool, and there's a limit to the number of titles you can actually make. All right, let's take a look at some of these biomes. We can see some of the new animal behaviors here. We have like little bunnies chilling out. There's one sleeping over there. And this guy. So lots of new animal behaviors, lots of new animals in the game, and different biomes. So we've added a ton of new just natural resources to the game, and it's they're found in all these different biomes. So if you pull up the world map, you can see these big sections of land that have different biomes, and you might need some resource that's only available in one, like granite or aluminum or something. And so then you'll have to travel to that region to get it. So there's a lot more reasons to like travel around the world. It used to be that all the resources were kind of scattered randomly everywhere, more or less uniformly. But now there's like a reason to have this outpost village near like a gold mine or something. And that just makes everything, transportation in the world, more important. And having these different villages, finding these opportunities where you find this resource and you can sell it to a town on the other side of the world, you get hire people to transport it for you. So there's all these kind of economic opportunities made by like actually spreading out these resources. And it's all based on real biomes, so you'll find the types of resources that are actually in those biomes. So here's a look at a jungle. This is our new rainforest biome. You can see a lot of the palm trees. We got papayas. Actually, we can chop those down if you want to just whack one of those down.
And John, could you explain to Ashley the difference between titles and demographics?
Yeah, so titles are user assigned, demographics are automatically assigned. Nice. So palms are a new source of wood, which is not as useful typically as other wood, but you do get some food items from palm trees. But yeah, so the difference between titles and demographics, titles the user will set who has access to it, whereas demographics are automatically defined. Like the citizen demographic says, if you've played for 2 hours, then you're a citizen. Whereas the czar title that we just made, it just depends whatever that player assigns to it. So they both work kind of similar, that you can assign permissions to them, but it's just different in how that happens. So we got a question, will there be more transportation options like boats and trains because we need to travel more? There will eventually definitely be boats, trains, still a maybe on. I would love to get that someday. But boats we will definitely have before Eco 1.0, which is still a ways off, but I'm hoping we might even consider for Eco 9. So we'll see.
It looks like Sandy noticed the bighorn sheep. Yeah, we have 11 new animals coming in 8.0.
Yeah. Demonstrate how tree seeds propagate. Do we get any tree seeds? Oh, you can see the new debris. This is debris you get from the palms. And if you see down there in the bottom left, we have a little experience icon. So that's part of the new skill system, which we're going to be showing next week. So it's a little messed up in this build we have right now, but next week we got a whole new UI for that, new tutorials, and we'll be able to show you how that's going to work. It's going to be a pretty different and interesting system. I think you guys will like it a lot. Let's see, let me just fly around and kind of, yeah, there we go. Oh, so there's a new palm tree we planted. A little baby tree.
Getting kind of dark.
Cyberg Wolf asks, I've heard with the 8.0 update, existing worlds will get a deadlock. How playable will these old worlds be? We are going to support migration, so you should be able to load all your old 8.0 worlds. Or sorry, you'll be able to load all your previous worlds in 8.0. They won't have the new biomes. You'll have to regenerate a new world to get that, but you'll get access to the new features like banks, registrars, and the new skill system. And I believe we're going to force spawn in a bunch of the needed plants and animals, because there's, for research and things like that, a lot of these new species you're going to need to harvest them. So that'll be added. Oh, we got some crazy mushrooms there. Lots of new fungus in the game. Let's see. Will the old servers be wiped, or would we still be able to play 8.0? No, they won't be wiped. You'll still be able to play them. I mean, depends if server owners want to open it up or not. Oh, maybe we could show off some tundra.
Alright, yeah. Straight if I fly over.
We've also done a ton of performance improvements. I don't know if you can tell in the stream, but the game is running much smoother, has a much farther view distance, and actually has the lighting settings increased as well. So there's a lot more performance as well as quality to it.
DHG Defiance asks, will iron only be found in one biome?
I'm not sure. I have to ask Keegan which biome we're putting iron in, but I'm not sure how many different biomes it'll be in. But it won't be in all biomes, we know that, so that it'll be spread out and you'll have to kind of look for it.
Yeah, and which will be another thing that can help stimulate trade, because now people will, just by chance of where they landed, maybe have more ownership over certain resource, and thus there's a reason to build roads and trades instead of the economic networks.
Someone asks, Dux asks, is the animal population simulated? I know in the previous video you're talking about invasive species. Yep, they are simulated. They rely on the plants and species that they consume to be in the area. So if those die off, for example, if you pollute the area and kill off a bunch of plants, the animals that rely on those plants will drop in population or even die. And if their populations completely go to zero, then they'll become extinct. So here we got a couple of mountain goats.
And Sandy asks, is hunting harder with the new animal AI? It's a little bit different. Animals have new behaviors now. They can sleep. And I think it's possible to sneak up on an animal, sort of depending on how you're walking up on it.
Yeah, Sean actually added headshots into the game, so there is some extra skill to hunting now.
Yeah, it's a big part where hunting at night's typically recommended, because you can catch them unawares versus trying to sneak up on them in the daytime, and they're typically faster than you, and you can't always hit them as easily. So.
Yep. With the new biomes, do deserts appear directly next to tundra, or is there some kind of realism climate zones? Yeah, it assigns these different biomes, and then it chooses the temperatures based on that. So the system, the actual temperatures of the world and the rainfall reflect what the biome is. So you will have, accurate simulations there. And if that changes, the biome will actually change. So if you create too much CO2, you could raise the temperature of an area, and that biome could transform into something else. Yeah, I love these new mountains, looking really nice. Just the biggest thing about 8.0, it just feels so different as you walk through the world. Every place feels very unique. There's different landscape, different plants, different animals, different vistas. So it just feels like so much more of a living big world, which I think is going to be one of the biggest impacts of this. Is is that feeling of it's no longer this monoculture. There's all this diversity in this world that you're building in that can go away. You know, that if you're not careful, you can make a lot of these species disappear. Will there be some comfort updates as well as biomes? Example, control left click to take things from treasure chests, etc. Yes. So we've done a lot of just random quality of life stuff. That example, control click to bring stuff over to your inventory, is going to exist. So yeah, that's something we've been focusing on. Just getting it polished as we work through our early access, and it's been great having everybody's feedback on, you know, features like that, you know, they're tiny, but they make a big difference. So we're definitely balancing, you know, the big features like biomes with continuing to polish everything up. Will there ever be swimsuits for diving? That would be cool. I mean, right now you can just swim indefinitely. I think it would be nice if you can't just swim across an ocean, especially when we add boats, you know, like there's something that prevents you from doing that. What else can we show?
Do you want to show the rivers?
Yeah. Oh, let's go look at a lake.
Going further away.
Lakes are one of the coolest new biomes. And one of the easier ones to get polluted as well. Let's see this one. It's really cool just seeing the fish swimming around in a lake. Oh, everybody loves the control clicks.
It should be to my left.
Will we be able to recycle items we don't want to use again? Nana asks. We don't have a specific recycling system yet, but that is something that we'd like to add. There we go, there's a nice lake. Should get down by the banks. See any fishies in there?
Saw one a second ago, but it disappeared on me. Oh, there it is.
Nice little tuna. So one nice thing about lakes is that they give you access to water, which you can use for the new plumbing systems. So if you build next to a lake, it's going to be a lot easier to supply your village with water. And that's something that we've added to a number of objects. You actually have to hook up pipes to them that are supplying water, and then they have output wastewater. Something we showed in our last stream, if you want to take a look.
Dr. Jones asks, are we going to be showing how the new pipes work?
We did show pipes in a previous stream, but we could probably just give a quick look at those again if you want to. Do you think that's going to work?
It worked earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as long as
Also, Dr. Jones, I think we'll be putting out a video in the next couple weeks about pipes.
Yep. There we go. So here we got some water pumps. Push C and then bring up the chat, close it again to get rid of that. Alright, so take a look at these water pumps. So this is our depot command where it just spawns water sources. But you hook up these water pumps to a water source, and then you can follow the plumbing and connect that to different objects in the game. So this one here goes underground. Actually, you can fly in there and kind of see the underground plumbing. It's kind of cool to look at. So you'll actually have to, connect these pipes to your buildings, whether that's underground or above ground or however you want to do it. It becomes this kind of group construction challenge. So a village will need to have this joint project where you're providing plumbing for all of the houses in the neighborhood. And it's just going to give you a lot of things, like certain craft tables require it. So like this is a little test table that requires it. Different housing objects require it. So you'll get like a major bonus point if you have a housing object that uses water. That'll up your skill gain quite a bit. And then you have to deal with the pollution of it. So it's a really great feature that connects to a lot of the themes of eco. And you have that collaborative aspect where a group has to do it. You have that environmental impact where there's sewage water and wastewater that you have to treat or deal with, and how to handle that as a community, because there is a cost to that. So I'm really looking forward to how this starts to affect the way that cities are built and the way that communities collaborate. And here's a water filter that's spawned inside of this tree right now. And you can see that it's outputting, it's inputting sewage and it's outputting water. If you go to the status tab on that guy, so this filter is actually pulling the sewage out and building compost blocks in that stockpile, and those are like polluting blocks inside of there. So eventually that'll fill up and stop the water filter and get these compost blocks, which you'll be able to use for fertilizer eventually, probably not for 8.0, but that's something that we're planning to do, is that you can turn this waste into a positive. So this is a good example of recycling things we were chatting about earlier.
So if we overuse it, will we actually drain the lake?
We don't have, so the lakes and rivers are infinite sources of water right now. Long term though, I would love to have water be more of a deeper simulation, so something we thought about. We should show the blast furnace there too. Did the blast furnace spawn?
Yes, in any tree.
Oh yeah. So this is just our debug stuff. We have a whole bunch of tests where we just do like spawn plumbing and it spawns a whole village full of plumbing. Great for making sure that everything is working. Oh yeah, here's just a blast furnace blasting away. If you fly above it, you should be able to see it spitting out smoke out the top. And we kind of open all these tests up to modders as well, so people, if they wanted to make their own plugin, they can have these tested to make sure their stuff works, adding all kinds of new stuff. I've seen some really cool mods out there.
So Dr. Jones says he's way more excited about the pipes now. That's great to hear. We are too.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, let's just fly around and look at stuff.
Maybe fly over the river.
Yeah, go check out a river.
Yeah, the river.
Really excited to show you guys skills next week. So we're still putting that together, but that's going to be a pretty big diversion from what we have existing, where you choose specialties and then you level them up by doing stuff.
So you'll notice right away that the river is not just a crazy canyon anymore. It's I don't know, they're incredible now. Beautiful, they're meandering.
Yeah, rivers have got a lot of love this update. Eric made the river banks, a lot more natural looking. It used to be only canyons you would see, but now it's kind of a mix of different ones. So you can follow these up, and these will be really useful for transport eventually as well, as we add like little river boats or canoes or kayaks and things like that. Something we'll do in a future update. And yeah, you'll see rivers, starting to form, little towns form around them based on their transport abilities, things like that. So there's a river source there. You planning to add other languages? Yep, we already support a bunch of different languages. We're working on our Asian language build. We can use help with translators for that. So if anybody speaks Chinese, Japanese, or Korean, get in touch with us. We have a lot of other languages that are already mostly translated, so that is something that we're, actively supporting.
Jamie S., he says, I want a steeper roof. Towers look so funny with the current roof. I don't think that's something I've heard before, but it's something that we can look into. And I know that we do want to, have housing materials have a lot of different interesting looks in the future. And a steeper roof is probably something that could be a possibility if there's a interest in it.
Yeah, one thing we're planning for 9.0 is to have a lot of like government stately buildings. So making stuff out of marble, making these big column structures and things like that. Yeah. So you can see all these like different kinds of minerals you find in the water. A lot of times you're going to need the different rocks you find in throughout the world. So you might need to go find sandstone in order for a certain recipe, or granite. So there's a lot more reason to like explore and help others with where you're finding these different resources. You could chop up one of those. I can see some pumpkins here too, that's new. A lot of new fruits and vegetables as well. Yep, so we got new materials, sandstone's one of them. See all the new recipes that are going to be used in that. So really fleshing out this ecosystem to be just a lot richer, and that just has so many more effects on everything else in the game. You know, it affects trade, it affects transport.
I don't think we mentioned just the new tall grass, how just walking through the grasslands feels way different now with tall grass about as tall as you.
Yeah, so we got this called bluegrass, even though it's or blue stem something or other, even though it's purple. So yeah, you just get this much bigger feeling of like a wild nature, and that as this becomes a town, you know, you start to feel a really big difference in the way that the world progresses. Do you think against disruptive players or those that break eco-made rules somehow will face consequences via police force? That is something I want to do, is allow people to break laws. Right now the server just prevents laws from being broken, but that is something that we talked about, is having it, you know, a server could say laws can be broken on the server, but then there's a way to be caught and punished. So if you're trying to like skirt the rules, you might get caught for it, and that opens up the door for like criminal justice careers in the game, where you can specialize in like being a detective or something. So someone should post a mod where you can pose a statue and build it. Yeah, actually that's something I want to do too, is have art in the game, so you can build like, you know, it's not just all labor. You can actually create like works of art and things like that that add value to the town in a certain way. Let's see.
Would you consider changing mining to always break it into 4 pieces? That yellow block that has to be hit again is annoying. I think that's actually a skill upgrade that you're going to be able to do, is so you don't have to hit that last yellow brick again.
Yeah. Let's check out our stream next week. We're going to demo the new skill system. That's one of the talents that you can unlock, is better mining, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. So I think the skill system, I think you guys are going to like it. It's a lot more specific choices that you're making, and kind of flows a lot better, I think. So that's going to be really cool. I think that new rock shapes really varied look to the game.
Can you build a dam in the game to create power?
That's a good idea. Not currently, no, but yeah, that's definitely something to think about for a water update down the road.
Right, and everybody, please keep sending in ideas like that. Like the more we hear, if everybody wants a dam, then there's a good chance that could happen in the future. So, and we'd love to hear your feedback about what works and what you love and what you want to see.
S7 asks, will this game still be playable for like 3 people or 10 only? I understand the big concept, but we play games without currency because we just like it more in that way. Creating an unlimited amount of tailings takes 60% of game time at the moment. Yeah, you can still play it with any number of people. You can change the settings as to how much collaboration you want in the game, you know, how many specialties you can take. So you get a lot of the interesting features when you play it with more people, because then you get an economy, you get like more reasons to use the government. But a lot of people just like to play solo or with a small group, and that works just as well. And there's still plenty you'll need to like figure out and conquer in single player. Let's see, earlier said there'd be more consumables in the game, so there's more trade. Is anything like that going to be in 8.0, 9.0? Well, food is the biggest consumable. Tools are also consumable because you have to repair them. So that's going to continue to be a big part of the game. We don't have anything new specific on that front. I would like to have world objects wearing down over time too, so that could be another consumable. And yeah, feel free to hop in our Discord and you know, shoot me a message on there. I'm John K. You can message me anytime, or just chat to the community and share ideas and talk about, you know, things you want to see in the game. We're really open to player feedback, and it's been really great having the support of the community as we build this out. So we're going to be presenting kind of our plans for the year and starting to lock down some timelines. Somebody asked if the Eco 1.0 build is going to be this year, and yes, that is the goal towards the end of the year. I want to do a few more updates then, probably 8, 9, 10, and then 1.0, but that's not defined yet. So we'll be fleshing out more specifically what those are going to be as we build up to that. And even past Eco 1.0, we want to keep working on this, keep adding to it. But one big thing we're doing this year is starting our school support. So we have a lot of features in this game where you can generate curriculum based on what's happening in the world. So, you know, if a species is endangered, it can like generate this worksheet that you use in class, right? So you just have these really interesting context for what you're learning. And if we're going to start talking to schools, we already have a lot of schools that are using this, but we want to keep expanding it. So the idea is like a classroom would get their own world that they have, you know, private to their class, and then they have to achieve these goals. But in the process, they can pollute the environment, and they make discussions. You know, they have this civic discussion, which the teacher is involved in. So that's one of the big directions we want to take Eco in. In addition to the STEAM side, it'll pretty much be the same game, just adding that like classroom functionality. So looking forward to share a lot more of that with you guys. Yeah, so we call it a stream. Showed you a lot of cool new stuff. Thanks everybody for coming out. And we're going to start doing these weekly, so feel free to join us each week and catch us on Discord or send us an email. And yeah, I'll see you next time.
Okay, bye everybody. And yeah, I'm Will on Discord. You can message me also. Thanks for all your questions and look forward to more feedback.
Cool. See ya.
See ya.